Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It is a cold day out today. The low last night was minus 14 degrees Celsius and the high today is minus 10 degrees Celsius. So a chilly day outside. The greenhouse here went down to just above freezing. It didn't freeze over, but it was pretty close. So today I'm going to continue pruning up all my trees before spring, doing some winter pruning to them. And I'm going to start today with this oak tree that Matt gave me. Matt collected this oak seedling and he wasn't sure what kind it is, but I think it's a Pyramidal English Oak. That's my best guess because the leaves are quite small on it and the branches are growing very upright and it's kind of naturally growing in a pyramidal form. So I think that's the style for the tree, growing it as a miniature pyramidal oak. Here is a look at the oak tree so you can see the leaves. They're definitely the shape of an English oak. And it's kept its leaves. I imagine they would stay on throughout the entire winter and then fall off in spring as the buds start swelling. And it's got a fairly good base on it. I have repotted this tree, reducing the taproot back. So it's got the start of a nice root base on it. I can see in the leader here, I have an upright leader that continues the straight trunk, and then I have a side branch here that's getting quite thick, so I think I'll prune that back. Yeah, just do a little pruning on the branches to keep it compact. I'm ready to begin the pruning. So I'm going to begin kind of up top here. You'll notice I've got two branches, one growing right above the other one. The top one has some ramification on it. It divides into two here. The bottom one is a weaker branch, and generally in the apex of the tree you want to keep your smaller, finer branches and prune away the thicker ones. So that's what I'll do in this case. I'm going to prune away the top one. So here I go. Like that, taking that branch off. And then I mentioned I've got this upright one that will continue the straight trunk up. And then I have this thick branch that's going up the side. So I'm looking for buds on the outside. I have one right here. There's a couple of buds down lower. So I think I'll prune above this one. And then this one will grow in spring. And then if I decide to prune this one back, I can keep these two lower buds to maybe form future branches. So this top branch, I'm going to prune it off right here. So here I go. Just like that. The next branch down is this one. I've got good buds at the base here where I think I've pruned it once, or maybe that was just the natural secondary growth from year 2. I've got buds up here. I've got one on the outside here, so I can at least prune it off to here, taking the tip off, keeping my bud on the outside. But I noticed down lower I do have another smaller bud down here, so I think I'll take it back even further. Trying to maintain that pyramidal form to this tree. The next branch is this one here, this one, and I've got some subdivision here, which is nice, so I can prune the tip off that one to here. Taking that tip off. And then the one that comes up, I've got a lot of buds down here, a cluster of them. And then I've got a bud here. There's one on the outside here and outside here. So I can at least take it off to here. Taking that tip off. And there is a bud way back here. So if I wanted to, I could shorten that even more, and I think that would be a good idea. Keeping it quite compact. Keeping in mind that, when it grows in spring, it'll expand in size. So the tighter I can get the conical form now, the tighter it'll be when it grows in spring. The next branch is this one here. So, let me see, I'm looking for buds on the outside. There is one down very low here. There's not much else in this whole section here. I do have a branch fanning out here. So in this case, am I going to prune off that top section? I think so. So I'll take this top branch off like that, making that branch more compact. And then if I prune it back, there's a couple of buds quite low on the tree. But I wonder if that's making the branch too short. It doesn't really fit into the conical silhouette. So I think I'll leave this branch long as it is, at least for now. My next branch down is this one here. It has some good subdivision, so I will shorten. I'll just take the tip off this one. I've got a pair of buds there. And then this upright part, I've got a bud on the inside, which I don't want. I've got some buds here, so I can take the tip off this one, keeping my good buds each side there. And then this one, I've got a bud fanning outwards and a couple of branches here, so I can at least take the tip off like that, keeping that bud there. And then I've got, there's a bit of a cluster of buds there and some further down. I think I'll take it a bit further. I'm going to take it down to here, like that. Then my next branch down is this one. So on that branch, I have an outwards bud down here, which makes it quite short. I've got one on the outside here, so I think I'll just take the tip off. Like that, remove that one bud there. I think that's good. The next branch down is this one. I have lots of buds on the outside here, so I think I'll just take it back to here. And then my lowest branch is this one. And I've got a bud here, a little branch there, and a bud on the outside here, so I'll just take the top off. Like that. So that has got the Pyramidal Oak pruned up. And it's ready to grow for next year. Yeah, I think this will be a nice looking tree. I'm quite happy with the progress, and the small leaves are awesome. Yeah, it should be a nice tree, developing it into the future. I will seal all my cuts up with rubber cement. Here's what I took off the tree today. So a lot of branch tips. Some fairly major branches. And there's what the tree looks like now. So I'll get these cuts sealed up with rubber cement. Alright, here I go. Dab on the top there. One on there, one on here. One down there. Some of these are so small they don't need any sealant. I think that's good. That's got all the major cuts sealed up. Okay, so that one can go back on the bench. The next tree I'm going to prune up is my Black Locust tree. I started this from a small seedling that I collected in the backyard, and I've been growing it for several years. It's had, a pretty big trunk cut here. There's been a big branch removed here, another trunk cut here, another one here. So it's quite old now. It's probably 5 years old, I would think. So one of the problems on this tree, in nature they grow quite chaotically. The branches they grow kind of any direction. And I'll try and kind of capture that style in this bonsai. one of the problems, this branch comes out here and then it just ends, and then the two extensions of that branch grow at 90 degrees to the radial direction of the branch, which makes kind of an awkward structure. And then you can see this branch, it kind of starts to grow in on the tree again. So not the most kind of flowing basic branch structure. So I think in this case I'm going to keep this side as sort of the branch leader and maybe prune this one off. I just don't want these sort of bar branches here. So I think that'll be my first cut, removing this side of the branch. All right, here I go. I'm going to remove this branch here. So cut that off, and then I'll make that flush too, so it heals kind of a bit smoother. You can see it sticking out a bit. Like that. And then this side of the branch, you can see I've got a stub here I can take back. So I will, there's actually two stubs. So I'll take this one off and the end. Like that. There's another stub back here I can remove. Like that, one here, and one up top. So I will get this one also. So there's the one up top, I can take that off. Like that. And I guess this is a stub here too. I'll take that one off. Okay, I've got all the stubs cleaned up on the tree. So now I'm going to prune up this branch that is kind of a very bizarre direction. So on these locust trees, wherever there's a thorn, there is a dormant bud at the base of the thorns. So you can use the thorns for directional pruning. So in this case, I have a thorn on the outside here, so I'm going to prune it back to here. Taking that tip off. I've got a branch back here. I think that one's looking good. I mean, it's still quite a bizarre direction, this branch, the way it twists around, but that's the way the tree grew. There's a stub on the inside here I missed. And then if I come up the trunk line, I've got a branch on the inside of a corner here. I better remove that, because that will become a problem. It never looks good. Branches on the inside corners. There's a few branches here I can reduce. I will take this one back to here. This one I can take the tip off. This one's quite long. I can take it back to here. This one looks like it's still alive. I think I'll just leave that. There's not too many buds on it, and I think the apex is fine too. So I think that has the tree pruned up. Let's take a final look at it. Here's a look at the tree, and this is the front that I marked last time. I'm not sure it'll be the final front for the tree, but I'll rotate it around. So here's the front. Coming around to the right-hand side. To the back. The left-hand side. And back. Possible front. Yeah, so that's the Black Locust. It's making progress. It's starting to get more branching. The trunk's thickening up. I'm starting to get some more mature bark. You can see the bark splitting here as the tree grows. And these Black Locusts, they get really nice rough bark on them as they mature. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I will also seal the cuts up on this tree. So there's that one branch I removed at the back here. A lot of these stubs have already healed over. They don't really need sealant on them, but I don't think it'll hurt either. I think that's it. I could put a bit on here. A bit on here too. There. Okay. My Black Locust can go back on the bench. It's ready for spring. The next tree I'm going to prune up is my Amur Maple. Last year I kept this tree in the greenhouse here, and it's cool in the greenhouse here, but it leafed out very early. I think it was the third week in February it started leafing out. So it leafed out. I kept it in the greenhouse until the weather got better outside. Then I moved it outside and it grew really nicely. And then we kind of had a cool period in summer and it started getting fall colors on it. And it turned kind of a brilliant red. It was really nice. And then all the leaves fell off and it kind of sat there leafless for the last half of summer. And then towards fall it leafed out again and got a second flush on it. And yeah, that flush, luckily we had a nice long warm fall and that flush hardened off and it did quite well. So this year I'm not keeping it warm, I'm keeping it in the poly house, and you can see it's completely frozen right now. These are very hardy trees, so they can survive very cold temperatures. So today I'm going to prune it up, and hopefully this year it'll leaf out at the proper time in spring and just grow all summer and then get its fall colors in fall. So I'm going to use that technique on this maple where the buds I want to develop into branches, I'll prune to the next set of buds above it. So in spring, it'll flush out with that rapid growth. I'll prune that away once it's hardened off, and then the buds below it will start to grow, and it should keep the ramification finer. I won't get these rapid extensions in spring, and I should, keep the tree looking more miniature. Here is a look at the tree. So you can see it's growing quite fine. The branches are nice and fine. It's starting to get some bark on the trunk, which is nice, and it's getting a nice shape to it. Okay, I'm ready to begin the pruning. So there's a stub here I can remove, like that. There's another stub here. There's another one here. And one in the middle of this branch. There. I think that's got all the stubs removed. So now I'm going to begin the branch pruning. So I think, I want to develop this to look like a natural maple with kind of a broom style canopy. So let's follow this trunk line up. I'm looking for buds on the outside. I have a pair here, one on the outside. There's not much in this section, and I've got buds way back here. So I think these lower buds will be my eventual branches. So I will prune it just above these buds, taking the top off there. This branch, I have buds at the base, buds here side to side. No buds here until up here. So I think these will be the buds I develop into branches, so I'll prune the tip off here, like that. On this branch, you can see the one is kind of growing in towards the center of the tree. I do want sort of a more vertical branch leader, so I will keep this one. But I can prune this outside one first. I have buds here, nothing until I get up here, so I'll prune above here. Sacrifice buds and my true buds that I'll use later on in summer. This upright one, I've got buds down here and then nothing up until here, so I'll just take it off here. This branch, you can see it comes up and it divides from 1 into 3 branches. There's a small one, a sort of medium-sized one, and then quite a vigorous one going up the middle. So I've got buds on the outside here, so buds here, so I'll prune above here, like that. And then the other leg of that trunk line, I have buds here and here, so I can prune just above there, like that. This lowest branch, I've got buds back here, here, so I'll prune it off to here. This branch on the outside, I have buds back here and here, so I can prune it off above here. And then I've got to decide. I have 3 branches here. I need to choose which one I want to take away. And that's tough. I think this is probably the logical one to take away because it's kind of growing vertical and these 2 fan outwards. Even though this branch is well developed and it's a nice looking branch, it's just too vertical, so I'm going to take that one off, keeping my ones fanning outwards. And I think that's all I can do on the maple. Yeah, so I'll just keep developing it, keeping it as small as possible, and then over the years it'll grow larger and larger, and finally into hopefully a mature, grand looking maple tree. There's a close-up look at the tree. You can see I cut the trunk off here. It's healing over nicely. Yeah, it's not a bad looking tree at all. So again, I'll seal these cuts up. Dab a rubber cement on there and some on there. And the tip ones are fine enough. They don't need rubber cement. Yeah, so that tree can go back in the poly house where it'll stay cold for the entire winter. The next tree I'm going to prune up is a native red maple tree. This started out as a seed, and it's one of those ones that just germinated in one of my bonsai pots, and I didn't have the heart to throw it away or get rid of it. So I planted it up, and I'm growing it as a red maple in the, natural maple style, upright branches, and a nice canopy. So this is a young tree. I think it's 1, 2, maybe 3 years old now. And it's starting to get some branching. I think it'll be a good looking tree in the future. I'll just keep working away at it, and someday it'll look like a nice tree. On this tree you can see I've pruned the center leader here and 2 side branches developed. So it's the start of, that upright canopy. So the first thing I'm going to do is reduce these tall branches back. And again, I'm looking for buds. So I want some outward facing buds on the tree to develop and continue that spreading branch style. So I've got a really good bud here. There's a few buds at the base that I don't want. There's some buds up here, so I think I'll prune it right to here. So here I go, taking that top off. The other branch, I've got buds at the base. I've got buds on the outside here, so I think I'll take it off just above here, like that. So now it's a little more compact looking. On the lower part of the trunk, you can see I have 2 opposite branches here. So I need to pick one to develop into a upright trunk line, and the other I'll prune away. So which one? A lot depends on where the front of the tree will be. Probably maybe here, somewhere around here. So I think I'll take the little one off. I might as well keep this one, the stronger one. So that one comes off. This one, I've got buds here, so I can take the tip off. Unless I want to grow it so it catches up with these ones. And I think that might be a good idea. So I'll leave this branch alone. I'm just looking to see if I can reduce these upright ones more. I have buds here and here. I could take a bit more off the top. And on this one, there's my bud, sacrifice buds. And I have another set just above them, so I'll take a little more off. Like that. And then I have a center stub here I can clean out. So I'll come in and take that off. And at the moment it looks kind of like a slingshot tree, but as these develop, you know, it'll look better in the future. You have to have a trunk division at some time in the natural style. And it might look a little awkward at first, but as the tree matures and grows, they start to look very natural. Okay, oh, I'll seal that one up on here too. So that is it for the red maple. It is ready, and this one is also in the poly house. It's frozen. These native red maples, they can take the cold temperatures. It's no problem for them. I've even left this out on the bench all winter and it survives without a problem. Yeah, so that can go back in the poly house. The last tree I'm going to prune up today is my Chinkapin Oak. It's a native oak to Canada. I got this at a native plant sale and I've done root pruning on it, reducing that taproot back. I think I cut it in half, put it in bonsai soil, and I've let it grow. I've done some pruning to it, and today I'll prune it back, getting it ready for spring. Here's a look at the oak. So it's getting some nice branching on it. It has kind of an unusual trunk. It's sort of, yeah, it's got kind of a thick stubby section, and then the trunk kind of has a bit of a curl to it, but there's not much I can do about that, and I think it's something that will grow out as the tree matures. I hope so anyway. And you can see I've done some pruning, removing some branches. I've cut the top back here. Yeah, so today I'll prune it up, getting it a little more compact. So Joan is in the basement under the plant room today, and her boyfriend Jonas, here he is. Hi! Here's the male cat. He's out looking for her. You can't find Joni, can you? You've got a thick neck. Hey, you male cats, you always have thick necks. Yeah, you're a good boy. Hey, Jonas, you're a good boy. Yes, you are. Pretty kitty. Okay, well, you keep looking for Joan, but she's inside. I don't think you'll find her. Bye-bye. All right, I'll begin the pruning of the oak. So let's start on these lower branches. You can see I have 2 branches going from one spot. So I need to pick one, and I think the logical one would be to keep the one that has all these branching on it and prune away the new one. So I'll do that. That's gone. There's a stub I can clean up here. And then it's just a matter of reducing the branches back. So, again, I'm always looking for buds. I think this little upright one's fine. I've got a bud here, a bud here. So I think I'll prune the branch back to there. And this is a large leaf oak, so I'm going to use that same technique I use on the maples, where I keep sacrifice buds and then probably prune it back further later on. I think everything on this branch tip is good. I don't need to touch that. So then I come up the trunk line, and I've got 2 branches fairly close to each other here. They are staggered, but not by a whole lot. So I have 2 options here. I could prune away the entire top of the tree and keep these 2 outwards as my split of the trunk line. That would kind of lower the straight trunk of the tree, so it would start to form more of a canopy up top. Right now this tree's too high. If I were to grow it on a giant tree, the height would be fine, but I don't want it that big. generally, you know, the trunk before the first branch is about 1/3 your final height of the tree. So you can imagine this tree would be huge, generally speaking. So I think I will do that. I think I'm going to prune off the entire top of this tree. All right, here I go. A big cut coming up. I'll just prune it off roughly first. So here I go. Taking the entire top off that tree. I lose a lot of ramification there, but I think it's more important to get the tree to size and get the styling underway on it. Just want to take this back a little further there. I think that's good. So you can see now the tree looks much more compact. So up top I can do a little pruning here too. I have got a bud here. I think where to prune? I think here. Cutting that back, and on this one I've got buds here and here, so I can take it off here. Like that. And that is it. That is got the Chinkapin Oak all pruned up. Let's have a look at it. So here's a look at it. I'll rotate it around. Yeah, I like the size of it much better. It's a little more in proportion. Yeah, and there'll be more work coming to this tree. I'll probably get more branches on the trunk. There's lots of buds on it. And by cutting this leader off the top, it'll probably stimulate more growth down below. Yeah, the tree grew really well last year. Nice and vigorous. I got beautiful fall colors on it. Yeah, a great tree for bonsai. So again, I'll seal up those cuts I made. Just kind of helps stop them drying out over the winter. And there's a little one there I can seal up. And that's it. Oh, there's a one here. Get that one sealed up too. Yeah, so that's got the Chinkapin Oak all ready for spring. It will be exciting in spring seeing how they branch out and how they develop. Yeah. All right, back on the bench it goes. We got even more snow last night. I'll show you what it looks like outside. It's getting very, very snowy out here. There's a lot of snow on the benches and the trees. Yeah, we've been getting lots of snow. It is supposed to snow every day for the next 6 days too. And cold temperatures. So hopefully we get another warming trend. Sure is nice to get a bit of warmth in the winter, but yeah, that's what the benches look like now. Very, very snow covered. I'm making good progress going through all my trees and pruning them up, getting them ready for spring. I still have a few left. I got 2 Douglas firs to work on, my bird's nest spruce. There's a few other in the polyhouse that could use some work too. So I'll continue that work in the future. And then I think after they're all pruned up, I think there's trees in the plant room, the tropical trees, that will start to need pruning also. So they're starting to get pretty big in there. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.